Maya saw the man die in that alley. She shouldn't have looked, but the scream was too raw, too primal to ignore. And now, 3 nights later, something is hunting her. Something with burning eyes that sees through walls, that knows where she sleeps, that won't stop until she's silenced forever. When her apartment door splinters at 2 a.m. and a bleeding stranger collapses on her floor, she faces an impossible choice. Trust the monster who says he can save her, or wait for the one that will definitely kill her. His name is Dante. He's been alive for 2 centuries, and he's fighting a war inside himself every single second, a battle between light and shadow that's tearing him apart from the inside out. He says the only way to hide her from the demons hunting her is a blood bond, a permanent connection that will chain her to his darkness forever. She has 5 minutes to decide. 5 minutes before more of them come. 5 minutes to choose between freedom and death, between humanity and something she can't even name. But there's something Dante isn't telling her. Something about the ritual she witnessed. Something about why 7 people had to die, and why she was always meant to be number 6. And when she finally learns the truth, when she discovers what's really coming through the tear in reality, she'll realize that her death was never the endgame. It was just the beginning. Maya saw the man die. She shouldn't have looked, but the scream from the alley behind. The bar where she worked had been too raw, too primal to ignore. And now, 3 nights later, she knew with bone-deep certainty that they knew she'd seen. The apartment was supposed to be safe. Deadbolts on the door, windows that hadn't opened in years, neighbors close enough to hear if she screamed. Supposed to be. But safety was a lie she'd been telling herself since that night, and lies had a way of rotting from the inside out. She pressed her back against the kitchen counter, phone clutched. In trembling hands. 911. 3 numbers. Simple. Except the police hadn't believed her the first time. Or the second. Miss Rivera, we investigated the alley. There was no body, no blood. Are you sure you weren't just tired from your shift? Tired. As if exhaustion could conjure the image seared into her brain. The man's eyes going wide. The thing that killed him. All wrong angles and too many teeth and eyes that burned like coals. The way the body had simply collapsed inward, like something had sucked the life out through his pores. Maya's hands shook so violently the phone clattered onto the linoleum. She'd stopped sleeping. 47 hours now, maybe 48. Time blurred when you were too terrified to close your eyes. Because every time she did, she saw those burning eyes turning toward her. Saw the moment it realized she was there. The knock at the door came at 2:43 in the morning. Her heart stopped. Actually stopped, a full second of nothing before. It slammed back into rhythm so hard her ribs ached. Nobody knocked at 2:43. Nobody who meant well. Maya Rivera. The voice through the door was male, rough, not quite human. I know you're in there. I can hear your heartbeat. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. She backed toward the window, but her fingers fumbled with the lock. Painted shut. Years of landlord neglect that had seemed like an annoyance before, now felt like a death sentence. I'm not here to hurt you. A pause. That's a lie. I'm here because you saw something you shouldn't have. But I'm not here to hurt you tonight. The distinction felt meaningless when her legs were giving out, when she was sliding down the wall until she hit the floor, arms wrapped around her knees. This was it. This was how she died. Alone in a crappy apartment, killed by something that shouldn't exist. There's something else out there. The voice continued, quieter now. Something worse than me. And it's coming for you. So you have 2 choices. You can open this door and maybe live, or you can wait for what's hunting you and definitely die. The overhead light flickered, once, twice, then died completely. Maya's breath came in short, sharp gasps. The darkness was absolute. No streetlight through the window, no glow from the stove clock. just black, so thick it pressed against her eyeballs. And in that darkness, she saw them. Threads of light, pulsing like veins. They moved through the walls, through the door, geometric. Patterns that hurt to look at. Her new sight, the one she'd woken up with the morning after witnessing the murder, the one that let her see auras, energies, things that weren't meant to be visible. The pattern behind her door was silver and red, twisting, fighting itself. The pattern moving up the fire escape outside her window was pure black, and it was close. The window exploded inward. Glass shrieked through the air. Maya threw her arms over her face, felt razors bite into her forearms. Something landed in her apartment with a wet thud, and the smell hit her immediately. Sulfur and copper and rotting flowers. Stupid girl. The voice from the window wasn't a voice. It was 10 voices layered over each other, harmonizing on the word stupid until it became a sound that made her teeth ache. Did you think you could hide? She couldn't see it, not with her eyes. But with that new sight, the one she hadn't asked for, she saw its true form. A mass of writhing darkness, hooks and angles that shifted too fast to track, and at its center, those burning coal eyes. The door exploded outward, wood splintered, hinges screamed, and something else entered her apartment, something that moved like liquid violence. The silver and red pattern lunged toward the black one, and Maya's living room became a war zone. She couldn't process it, couldn't understand what she was seeing. Bodies that weren't bodies, moving too fast, crashing through her furniture like it was made of paper. The black thing screeched, a sound that made her nose bleed. The silver and red thing made no sound at all, just moved with terrible precision. Then the silver and red thing was in front of her. She saw him for the first time. Really saw him. Tall, broad-shouldered, face that would have been beautiful if not for the hollows under his eyes, the sharpness of his cheekbones that spoke of too many days without food, dark hair matted with something that might have been blood, and his eyes. His eyes were silver, pure mercury, no iris, no pupil, just liquid metal that caught the ambient light from the hallway. But as she watched, transfixed with terror, black bled into the silver like ink in water. The color spread until his eyes were entirely black, endless voids that reflected nothing. "Don't look at it," he said, voice hoarse. His hand shot out, cupped the back of her head, forced her face against his chest. His shirt smelled like ozone and something sweet she couldn't name. "Don't look, or it'll mark you." She felt rather than saw the next impact. His body jerked, taking a blow that should have killed him. Something warm and wet soaked through his shirt against her cheek. Blood. His blood. Dante. The layered voices hissed his name like a curse. "You choose her? You choose the mortal? I don't choose anything." His voice vibrated through his chest against her ear. "I'm just tired of watching your kind kill. Liar. You reek of bonding. You've already claimed her. I haven't." His breath hitched. Not yet. The words didn't make sense. Nothing made sense. Maya's consciousness was fracturing, splitting into pieces that couldn't fit back together. This wasn't real. Couldn't be real. But his heartbeat against her ear was real. Faster than human. Irregular. But real. The black thing lunged again. She felt Dante move, impossibly fast. And when he spoke, his voice was layered too. Silver and something darker, harmonizing in a way that made her bones vibrate. "Leave. Now, or I. Stop holding back the part of me that wants to rip you apart." Silence. Horrible, stretched silence. Then the sulfur smell faded. The presence of wrongness lifted. And Maya realized she was shaking so hard her teeth were chattering. Dante's hand was still on the back of her head. Gentle, almost tender. But when he spoke, his voice was back to hoarse and human and exhausted. You need to pack, now. We have maybe 5 minutes before more of them come." She pulled back, looked up at him. The silver was back in his eyes, but the black still swirled at the edges, fighting for dominance. And for the first time, she noticed the wound, a gash across his ribs, deep enough that she could see bone. It should have been gushing blood. Instead, it leaked something that glowed faintly silver in the darkness. "What are you?" she whispered. His smile was bitter, broken. "Something worse than what's hunting you." He swayed, caught himself against the wall, and Maya saw the other wounds. So many. Covering. His arms, his chest, his throat. Some fresh, some old and scarred, like he'd been fighting for days without rest. "I can't." His eyes rolled back. "I can't." He collapsed. 6 feet of muscle and otherworldly power crumpled to her floor like a puppet with cut strings. And Maya was left standing in her destroyed apartment, covered in glass and blood that might not be human, staring at the unconscious body of something that had just saved her life, something that terrified her almost as much as the thing that wanted her dead. Maya had exactly 4 minutes to decide if she was going to let a monster bleed out on her floor or try to save him. The rational part of her brain, the part that had kept her alive for 23 years, screamed to run. Climb out the shattered window, flag down a cab, disappear into the city and never look back. But her hands were already moving, grabbing the first aid kit from under the sink, even though she knew gauze and antiseptic wouldn't do anything for wounds that leaked light instead of blood. He was heavier than he looked. She managed to drag him away from the door, leaving a trail of that strange luminescent fluid across her linoleum. Up close, she could see details her terror had obscured before. Tattoos covered his arms, intricate symbols that looked almost angelic, all wings and geometric patterns. But they were wrong. Bleeding at the edges, literally bleeding. Thin rivulets of silver mixing with something darker. "Stupid," she muttered, pressing a towel against the worst gash across his ribs. "This is so incredibly stupid." His eyes snapped open. She jerked back, but his hand shot out, fingers wrapping around her wrist with strength that made her bones creak. Those eyes. They were doing that thing again. Silver fighting with black, colors bleeding into each other like watercolors left in the rain. "Don't run." His voice was barely a whisper, but she heard the layered quality beneath it. Multiple voices speaking in unison. Barely contained. "Please, I won't. I'm trying not to..." "Not to what?" Her own voice came out high, thin. "Kill me? Eat me? Whatever it is you things do?" Something that might have been pain flashed across his face. Not physical pain. Something deeper. Lose control. The demon side, it feeds on fear. And you're terrified. She was. God, she was. Her heart hammered so hard she thought it might crack a rib. But she didn't pull away. Couldn't. Because underneath the terror was something else. Curiosity. The same stupid curiosity that made her look into that alley 3 nights ago. "What are you?" she asked again. "Nephilim." He released her wrist, let his hand fall to the floor. "Half angel, half demon. Abomination to both sides. They've been hunting me for 2 centuries. 2 centuries. The words hung in the air between them. Impossible, and yet somehow fitting. She'd seen him move, seen what he could do. Human bodies didn't work like that. And the thing that came through my window? Demon. Lower level, but still strong enough to rip you apart. His breathing was labored now, each word costing him. "You witnessed a killing 3 nights ago. Ritual sacrifice. They need to eliminate anyone who saw." Her stomach dropped. "How do you know about that?" "Because I've been tracking the demon responsible for 2 weeks. You got unlucky. Wrong place, wrong time." He tried to sit up, failed, fell back with a grunt of pain. "But now you can see auras. The ritual marked you. Made you sensitive to our world. I don't want to be sensitive to your world. The words burst out of her, sharp with panic. I want to go back to being a bartender who goes home at midnight and worries about rent and student loans. Normal things. Human things. Too late. The black was spreading in his eyes again, swallowing the silver. You're marked. They'll keep coming. Unless what? He looked away. Jaw clenched so tight she could see the muscle jumping. There's a way to hide. To make you invisible to them. But you won't like it. Every instinct screamed that she didn't want to know. But Maya had learned 3 nights ago that ignorance didn't equal safety. Tell me. Bonding. If I mark you as mine, claim you, other demons can't touch you. Angels won't look twice. You'd disappear from their radar completely. The word claim made something cold slither down her spine. What does that mean? Mark me how? It's complicated. Part ritual, part biological. I'd need to... He closed his eyes, as if the explanation physically hurt. Share blood. Create a connection. You'd feel what I feel. I'd always know where you are. It's permanent. So, slavery. Her voice was flat. You're describing slavery. No. His eyes opened, and for a moment they were entirely silver, bright with something that looked like anguish. You could walk away anytime. The bond doesn't control free will. It just connects us. Makes you register as claimed territory to anything. Supernatural. Off limits. Maya's hands were shaking again. She pressed them against her thighs, tried to breathe. This wasn't happening. 24 hours ago, her biggest problem was whether she could cover her electricity bill. Now she was sitting in a destroyed apartment with a bleeding Nephilim discussing magical brands like it was a cell phone contract. What if I say no? Then you run. Tonight. Empty your bank account, buy a bus ticket to somewhere rural, change your name, and pray they don't find you. His voice was gentler now, almost kind. But they will. Eventually. These things, they're patient. And you? He gestured weakly at her. You glow now. To supernatural sight, you're a beacon. She thought about the alley, the coal-burning eyes turning toward her. The certainty she'd felt that it had seen her, marked her, would find her. How long do I have? To decide. Minutes. The demon I fought will report back. More will come. He struggled to sit up again, and this time, she helped him despite herself, wedging her shoulder under his arm. He was burning up, temperature fluctuating between furnace hot and ice cold. I can protect you better if we leave now. There's a place. Liminal space between territories. They can't reach us there. But it's temporary. Sooner or later you have to choose. Bond or run. Maya looked at her apartment. Shattered window, splintered door, furniture reduced to kindling. The life she'd built, modest and hard-won, destroyed in minutes. And somewhere out there, things with burning eyes were hunting her. She thought about her mother. Dead 2 years now. Medical bills that Maya was still paying off. Her mother who'd always said Maya was too curious for her own good. That one day she'd look where she shouldn't and get burned. Prophetic, in retrospect. The place between territories, she said slowly. How do we get there? Something like relief flickered across his face. You're coming with me? I'm not deciding anything. Yet. But I'm also not sitting here waiting to die. She stood, legs unsteady. So wherever this safe place is, let's go. Then you're going to explain everything. And I mean everything. He nodded, using the wall to haul himself upright. Standing, he was taller than she'd realized, 6'2" or 6'3", broad enough to block out the dim light from the hallway. His wounds were already starting to close, skin knitting together with that faint silver glow. There's something you should know, he said, not meeting her eyes. The bonding, if you choose it, it's not one-sided. You'd feel my emotions, my pain, He paused, searching for words. My dual nature. The war inside me. It's not pleasant. None of this is pleasant. Maya grabbed her backpack, started shoving clothes into it. Laptop, phone charger, the photo of her mother, only one she had left. But at least I'd be alive. Maybe. His voice was so quiet she almost missed it. Or maybe you'd just be trading one nightmare for another. She turned to face him. This creature of silver and shadow who'd crashed into her life and destroyed everything. His eyes were doing that thing again, colors bleeding together, fighting for dominance. And she realized he was right. He was a war zone. Two natures battling inside one body, neither willing to surrender. Bonding with him meant joining that war. The demon, she said, changing the subject. The one who's hunting me. What does it want? Besides me dead? Dante's expression darkened. It's building something. A ritual that requires witnesses eliminated, specific bloodlines eradicated, and a convergence of celestial timing. Your death is just one piece. Of what? Something that would make what you saw in that alley look merciful. The overhead light flickered back on, for exactly 2 seconds before exploding in a shower of glass and sparks. And in the darkness that followed, Maya heard it. Multiple footsteps in the hallway, moving in perfect synchronization. The sow. Smell of sulfur began seeping under the door. Dante's hand found hers in the darkness. His skin was fever hot now, burning. We need to leave. Right now. The window? No time. Hold on to me. What? He pulled her against his chest, one arm wrapping around her waist like iron, and the world tilted sideways. Reality fractured like glass. Maya's stomach lurched as the world dissolved into streaks of light and shadow. She couldn't breathe, couldn't scream, couldn't do anything but hold on to. Dante's physics became a suggestion rather than a rule. Colors that shouldn't exist burned behind her eyelids. Sounds that predated language echoed in her skull. Then solid ground slammed into her feet. She collapsed, knees hitting concrete, hands scraping against rough stone. Her lungs remembered how to work, and she gasped, dragging in air that tasted like copper and rain. When her vision cleared, she realized they weren't in her apartment anymore. They were in a church, not a working church. The pews were rotted, covered in decades of dust and bird droppings. Stained glass windows had been shattered, leaving jagged teeth of colored glass clinging to the frames. Moonlight filtered through the empty spaces, painting everything in shades of silver and blue. And the smell, incense and mildew and something underneath it all that made her sinuses ache. Liminal space, Dante said from behind her. His voice was steadier now, stronger. Consecrated ground that was abandoned, belongs to neither heaven nor hell. They can't track us here. Maya pushed herself upright, legs trembling. How? Shadow stepping. Nephilim ability. Lets us move between places using the spaces in between. He leaned against a pillar, and she noticed his wounds had closed completely. The glow was fading from his skin, returning to something approximating human. Costs energy I don't really have, but it was that or fight 6 demons in your hallway. 6. There had been 6 of them, coming for her. The reality of it hit like a fist to the solar plexus. She slid down the wall, pressing her palms against the cold stone floor, trying to ground herself. This was real. All of it was real. Demons and angels and Nephilim and whatever other nightmares existed in the shadows she'd been too blind to see. I need to know everything. Her voice came out rough, barely controlled. You said there's a ritual, that I'm marked, that something is being built. Start talking. Dante watched. Her for a long moment, those mercury eyes cataloging her every micro-expression. Then he moved, lowering himself to sit across from her, back against the opposite wall. The distance felt deliberate, calculated to make her feel safer. It didn't work. 3 weeks ago, a high-level demon named Asmodan began a summoning ritual in this city. Not possession, not deals, full physical manifestation. He ran a hand through his dark hair, and she noticed how his fingers trembled slightly. To do that, he needs to tear open reality, create a permanent gateway. And that requires what? Human sacrifice? Specific sacrifices. People who exist at intersections. Those who've witnessed death. Those with dormant bloodlines. Those born at celestial convergences. His eyes locked onto hers. You check multiple boxes. Wrong place, wrong time, but also wrong ancestry. Ice flooded her veins. What does that mean? Your mother. She was descended from a line of seers. Dormant ability, never manifested, but the bloodline was there. When you witnessed the ritual killing, it activated something in you. Made you visible. Maya's breath caught. Her mother. Always talking about intuition, about feelings she couldn't explain. Maya had thought it was just personality, just her mother's way of being. But if there was something more, something genetic, how do you know about my mother? I've been tracking Asmodon for 3 years. I know his patterns, his requirements. When the killing happened, I felt the activation. New seer awakening. So I started looking. His voice softened. I found your mother's death certificate. Cancer. Medical bills that should have bankrupted you but somehow didn't. I worked triple shifts. She stopped. Because there had been moments, hadn't there? Tips that were too generous. Medical bills that got mysteriously reduced. Small miracles she'd been too grateful to question. What did you do? Made sure Asmodon's network couldn't use your financial desperation as leverage. Covered gaps where I could. He looked away, jaw tight. I've done terrible things in my existence. Covering someone's electricity bill felt like the least I could do. The confession hung between them, strange and impossible. This creature of violence and shadow had been paying her bills, protecting her from a distance, and she'd never known. Why? The word came out as barely a whisper. Because I'm tired. His eyes met hers again, and for the first time she saw the exhaustion. Underneath. Not physical. Soul deep. Tired of watching people die for celestial politics. Tired of being a weapon for angels who despise me and a target for demons who want to enslave me. You were just a bartender trying to survive. You didn't deserve to become collateral. Maya pressed her hands against her face, trying to process. Every answer generated 10 more questions, but one rose above the rest, sharp and immediate. The ritual. You said Asmodon needs specific people dead. How many? 7. You're number 6. He already has 5. Her blood turned to slush. And number 7? I don't know yet. He's hidden the last target well. Dante's hands clenched into fists. But when he completes the ritual, when he tears reality open, thousands will die. Maybe millions. Depends on what he's summoning. Then we stop him. We warn people, Who would believe you? His voice was gentle but firm. You tried reporting what you saw. They thought you were hysterical. And even if they believed you, human authorities can't fight this. Guns don't work on demons. Prisons can't hold them. So what? We just hide here until he wins? No. The word came out layered again, silver and shadow harmonizing. We kill him first. Maya stared at him. This Nephilim who'd been tracking a demon for 3 years, who'd crashed into her apartment bleeding and broken, who was currently held together by willpower and whatever passed for angelic healing. You can't even stand up straight. How exactly are we killing anything? The bond. He said it like an apology. If you accept it, I'd have access to your dormant abilities. Seers can track demons, see through illusions. Combined with my strength, we'd have a chance. There it was again. The bond. The permanent connection that would tie her to this war she never asked to join. And if I say no, then I try alone. Probably fail. Asmodon completes the ritual, and you spend however long you have left running from demons until they catch you. It wasn't really a choice. Maya had known that from the moment she woke up able to see auras. Her old life was gone, burned away the second she looked into that alley. The question wasn't whether to fight. It was whether to fight alone or with this broken, dangerous creature who'd been trying to protect her from the shadows. "This bond," she said slowly. "You said I'd feel your emotions, your pain, the war inside you." "Yes. What does that mean, specifically?" Dante was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was barely audible. "It means you'll feel when the demon side wants to hurt things, when it feeds on violence and fear and whispers that killing would feel good, and you'll feel the angel side trying to contain it, fighting every second to maintain control." He looked at his hands, at the bleeding tattoos. "It means you'll know exactly what kind of monster I am." Maya thought about the black spreading through his eyes, the layered voice, the way he'd moved. In her apartment, liquid violence barely restrained. He was right. He was dangerous. Probably more dangerous than the demons hunting her. But he'd also paid her electricity bill, covered her mother's medical expenses, fought 6 demons to buy her time to escape. Monsters didn't do that. How does it work? The bonding? His head snapped up, surprise flickering across his features. "You're considering it?" "I'm asking how it works." He stood slowly, and she noticed he was steadier now. The shadow step must have taken more out of him than he'd admitted. "Blood exchange. Has to be consensual, from both sides. I'd mark you here." He gestured to his left wrist, where silver scars formed an intricate pattern. "Creates a permanent link. You'd be able to feel my location, my emotional state. I'd sense if you're in danger. And the seer abilities? How do you access those? They'd activate fully once the bond forms. You'd be able to see true forms, track demonic signatures, identify lies." He moved closer, stopping several feet away. "But Maya, once it's done, it can't be undone. If I die, you'd feel it. If I lose control, you'd feel that too. This isn't protection without cost." She stood, forcing her legs to support her weight. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance. The normal world, continuing on, oblivious to the supernatural war being waged in its shadows. She could go back to that world, could run like Dante suggested, disappear into rural obscurity and hope. Or she could fight. "Show me," she said. "What?" "Your true form. The dual nature. If I'm going to bond with you, I need to see what I'm binding myself to." Dante's expression shifted to something like fear. "Maya, I don't think..." "Show me, or I walk out that door right now." For a long moment, she thought he'd refuse. Then his eyes slid shut. And when they opened, they were completely silver. No iris, no pupil, just liquid mercury. The tattoos on his arms began to glow, bright enough to hurt. And behind him, she saw it. Wings. Not feathered, not demonic. Fractured. Half-formed, made of light and shadow woven together in patterns that didn't follow natural laws. Beautiful and terrible, and so utterly wrong her brain struggled to process them. "This is what I am," he said, voice layered into harmony. Half divine, half damned. At war with myself every second of every day. Maya's new sight kicked in, showing her the aura around him. Silver and black, bleeding into each other, fighting and merging in an endless cycle. And underneath it all, she saw something else. Something that looked like pain. He expected her to run. She could see it in the set of his shoulders, the way he'd already started to close off. Instead, she stepped forward. "Do it," she said. "Bond us." His wings dissolved. His eyes widened. "Maya, before I lose my nerve, do it now." Dante's hand trembled as he reached for her wrist. "Last chance," he said, voice rough. "Once this starts, there's no going back. You'll be bound to me, to this war, to everything I am." Maya's pulse hammered against her throat, but she didn't pull away. I know. He drew a blade from somewhere she hadn't seen, obsidian black with silver veins running through it like lightning frozen in stone. The edge caught the moonlight filtering through the broken windows, and she understood instinctively that this wasn't a human weapon. This was something older, something made for rituals that predated written language. It'll hurt, he warned. Not just the cut. The connection forming, it's intense. Everything about the last 3 days has been intense. She held out her left wrist, trying to ignore how badly her hand shook. Just do it before I pass out from my own adrenaline. Something that might have been respect flickered across his face. He took her wrist, his touch burning hot, and positioned the blade against her skin. The metal was ice cold, temperature shock making her gasp. I need you to understand. Something. His mercury eyes locked onto hers. The bond works both ways. You'll feel my demons, but I'll feel your fear, your pain. Everything you're trying to hide right now, I'll know. The confession should have made her more afraid. Instead, it felt almost fair. If she was going to be exposed, so was he. Then we're both vulnerable, she said. Cut. He did. The blade sliced through skin with surgical precision, drawing a line across her inner wrist that immediately welled with blood. Dark. Red. Too dark. Like the sight of it activated something in her dormant bloodline. She watched, transfixed, as the blood didn't drip. Instead, it moved, crawling across her skin in patterns that looked almost like writing. Dante cut his own wrist with the same efficiency, and his blood was wrong. Silver mixed with black, swirling together like oil and mercury refusing to blend. He pressed his wrist to hers, and the world caught fire. Pain exploded through her nervous system, not the sharp sting of the cut, but something deeper, something that rewrote her at a cellular level. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. Her knees buckled, and Dante caught her, lowering them both to the dusty floor as the bond took root. She felt him, not physically, though she was distantly aware of his arms around her, holding her upright, but inside, in the spaces between her thoughts, a presence that was wholly other, foreign and invasive and impossibly intimate. His emotions crashed into her like waves, exhaustion so profound it made her bones ache, guilt that tasted like ash, fear that he was condemning her, and underneath it all, the war, the angel side. It felt like sunlight on bare skin, warm and safe and utterly inflexible. It wanted order, justice, protection at any cost. It looked at her and saw innocence worth preserving, even if preservation meant control. The demon side. Cold fire and sharp teeth, and the seductive whisper that violence solved everything. It looked at her and saw prey, possession, something to own and corrupt and break just to see what was inside. And Dante, caught between them, fighting both with every breath. She understood now why he'd warned her. This wasn't metaphorical struggle. This was two fundamental forces trying to tear him apart from the inside, every second of every day, and the only thing keeping him intact was sheer stubborn will. How had he survived 2 centuries of this? The pain receded slowly, replaced by a strange humming. Sensation in her chest, like a second heartbeat, syncopated with her own. She realized with distant shock that she could feel his pulse, not through touch but through the bond itself. Could feel the moment his breathing steadied, his grip on her loosening. Maya. His voice sounded wrecked. Can you hear me? She managed a nod, not trusting her voice yet. Her wrist burned where they'd joined, the cut already sealing itself with silver-threaded scar tissue that glowed faintly in the darkness. The seer abilities should activate soon. When they do, it's going to be overwhelming. Every supernatural thing within a mile radius will light up like a beacon. He helped her sit back, giving her space but staying close. Try to breathe through it. Focus on my presence in the bond. It'll help anchor you. As if summoned by his words, her vision exploded into light. She'd thought the auras she saw before were intense. This was incomprehensible. The church itself blazed with residual holy energy, bright white that pulsed with the memory of centuries of prayer. But it was corrupt now, threaded through with darkness where the sacred had been abandoned. She could see every demon that had passed through this space, their signatures burned into reality like scar tissue on the world. And Dante was blinding. Silver and black braided together so tightly they'd become something new, something that hurt to look at directly. She could see the wings now, not just when he manifested them, but always, translucent and fractured, folded against his back in an eternal state of half-collapse. "Too much," she gasped. "It's too much, I can't." "Yes, you can." His hands cupped her face, forcing her to focus on him. "Look at me, just me. Let everything else blur." She tried, concentrated on his features instead of his aura. The sharp cheekbones, the dark stubble that shadowed his jaw, the exhaustion carved into the lines around his eyes. Human details, grounding. Slowly, the overwhelming input began to filter. Her brain learned to sort, to prioritize, to dim the background noise and focus on what mattered. The bond helped, acting as a reference point. Dante's presence was so strong, so distinct, that everything else could be measured against it. "Better?" he asked, thumbs brushing her cheekbones in a gesture that felt automatic, like he'd done it 1,000 times for someone else. "Better," she managed. Still overwhelming, but manageable. He released her face, and she felt the loss through the bond. Not romantic attraction, not yet, but something more fundamental. Recognition. Like two puzzle pieces discovering they fit, even if they didn't understand the picture they were making. "The tracking ability," Dante said. "All business now. Focus on the demon that came through your window. Remember its signature, the specific feeling of its presence." Maya closed her eyes, called up the memory. Sulfur and rotting flowers and coal-burning eyes. The layered voice that made her teeth ache. The sense of wrongness so profound it violated physics just by existing. And there, like a compass needle swinging north, she felt it. A pull, a direction. East, maybe 3 miles, and moving. "I can feel it," she whispered. "It's hunting. Looking for something." "Number 7, Dante said grimly. "It's going after the last target." Her eyes snapped open. "Then we have to stop it. Now. Before you're ready? Before you've learned to control your new abilities? Before we have any kind of plan?" He shook his head. "We'd die in minutes. So what? We just let it kill someone? We get stronger first. I teach you how to fight, how to use the seer sight strategically. Then we hunt." His jaw clenched. "I know it feels wrong. Believe me, every instinct I have says go now. But we go unprepared. We lose. And if we lose, Asmodan completes the ritual." The logic was sound. Maya hated it anyway. Hated that somewhere out there, someone was about to die. While she sat in an abandoned church learning supernatural self-defense. But the bond let her feel Dante's certainty. He'd fought these things for 2 centuries. He knew the odds. "How long?" she asked. "How long until we're ready?" "Days. Maybe a week if we're lucky." "And you think number 7 has that long?" His silence was answer enough. Maya pushed herself upright, legs still unsteady but functional. The church felt different now. She could see the layers of protection woven into the walls, ancient wards that flickered weakly but still held. This place had been a sanctuary once. Could be again. "Then we start now, tonight. Whatever you need to teach me, we begin immediately." Dante studied her, and she felt his assessment through the bond, measuring her resolve, her capacity for what was coming. What he found must have satisfied him because he nodded. First lesson, physical conditioning. Your body needs to keep up with supernatural speed, and right now, you're purely human. He stood, moving to the center of the church where moonlight pooled. Second lesson: learning to fight while managing sensory overload. You'll be seeing auras, tracking signatures, feeling my emotions all while something tries to kill you. And third lesson? His expression went dark. Learning to feel me lose control and not panic. Because it's going to happen. The demon side, it feeds on violence. When we fight, it'll surge. You need to trust that I can contain it. The words sent ice through her veins, because she'd felt that demon side through the bond, felt how much it wanted to hurt, to dominate, to destroy. Trusting Dante to contain that felt like trusting a dam to hold back an ocean. But she'd made her choice, cut her wrist and bound herself to this war. No use second-guessing now. "Show me," she said. "Show me everything." He smiled, and it was the saddest expression she'd ever seen. "You're either very brave or very stupid. Can't I be both?" "Yeah." His mercury eyes caught the light. "Yeah, you can." He moved then, faster than human, and Maya's new sight tracked him perfectly, saw the way his muscles moved, the energy flowing through his body in patterns that defied biology. He stopped inches from her, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating off him. "When we fight," he said softly, "you'll need to anticipate my movements. Feel them through the bond before I make them. We fight as one unit, or we don't survive." She could feel his heartbeat, could feel the way the demon side stirred at their proximity, wanting to push closer, wanting to claim. And she could feel the angel side restraining it, chains of will and determination barely holding. This was what she'd bound herself to. This constant war. This beautiful, terrible, impossible creature who fought himself as much as he fought demons. Maya took a breath, squared her shoulders. "Then let's learn to fight." Outside, something howled, long and low and entirely wrong. The demon she'd tracked had found something, or someone. Through the bond, she felt Dante's control slip. Just for a second. Just enough to let her feel the demon side's response to that howl. Recognition. Hunger. The desire to answer the challenge with violence. Then he locked it down again, shoving it back into its cage. But they both knew the truth now. The real one. The cage was weakening, and eventually, it would break. 4 days of training felt like 4 years. Maya's body was a catalog of bruises and pulled. Muscles, each one a lesson in moving faster than human reflexes should allow. Dante pushed her relentlessly, teaching her to use the bond as a weapon. Feel his movements before he made them. Anticipate attacks through the connection humming between them. Fight while managing the sensory overload of seeing every supernatural signature within 100 yards. She was getting better. Not good. Not even competent. But better. It was 3 a.m. when everything changed. They'd been sparring. In the church nave, Maya trying to land a single hit while Dante moved with that impossible speed. She felt his intention through the bond a split second before he lunged, managed to dodge left instead of right, and for the first time in 4 days, her strike connected, not hard, barely a tap against his ribs, but contact. Dante froze. His eyes went completely black. The bond exploded with sensation, hunger, raw and terrible and so intense, Maya's knees buckled. Not physical hunger. Something. Darker. The demon side, surging to the surface, fed by the violence of training, the proximity, the blood connection thrumming between them. "Maya." His voice was layered again, multiple tones harmonizing into something that made her hindbrain scream predator. "You need to move back. Now." She tried. Her legs wouldn't obey. Because through the bond she felt everything. The demon side demanding he claim her properly, mark her beyond the wrist, make her his in ways that had nothing to do with protection. And underneath it, Dante fighting with every shred of will he possessed, trying to shove it back down. But he was exhausted. 4 days of constant training, minimal sleep, using his powers to maintain the wards around the church. The cage was cracking. "I can't." Her voice came out strangled. "Dante, I can't move." She watched the war play out on his face. Silver bleeding into black, bleeding into silver. His hands were fists at his sides, knuckles white with strain. The tattoos on. His arms bled freely now, silver and black running together, dripping onto the dusty floor. "Then close your eyes." Each word cost him. "Don't watch this." She should have listened, should have given him that mercy. But she was a seer now, and seers saw truth even when it was ugly. So she watched as he dropped to his knees, as his body convulsed, as the demon side tried to claw its way to dominance. Through the bond, she felt every second of it. The demon side whispering that taking her would be easy, that she was already marked, already his. The angel side screaming that she'd trusted him, that violating that trust would make him the monster both sides claimed he was. And Dante, caught in the middle, being torn apart. She did the only thing she could think of. She knelt in front of him, ignoring every instinct that said run, and took his face in her hands. "Look at me." Her voice shook but held steady. "Dante, look at me." His eyes snapped to hers, completely black, bottomless, wrong. But she didn't let go. "I trust you," she said. Simple words, insufficient for what was happening. But she poured everything she felt through the bond. Not fear, not anymore. Something else. Belief. Faith in the man who'd been fighting this war for 2 centuries and hadn't lost yet. She felt the moment it made a difference. The demon side recoiled from that trust like it was acid. Because demons fed on fear, on possession, on control. Trust was anathema. It required equals. It required choice. The black receded from his eyes, millimeter by millimeter. Silver bleeding back in, fighting for space. His hands came up to cover hers, touch gentle despite the trembling. "You shouldn't trust me," he said, voice raw. "Not after that. Not after you felt what I wanted to do. But you didn't do it." She didn't release his face. "That's what matters. You didn't. This time." The words were bitter. "But it's getting stronger, Maya. Every fight, every use of power, it feeds the demon side. Eventually, I won't be able to contain it." The confession hung between them, terrible in its honesty. And through the bond, she felt his certainty. This wasn't self-pity. This was experience. 200 years of watching himself slip, degree by degree, towards something he couldn't come back from. "Then we finish this before that happens," she said. "We find Asmodan. We stop the ritual. We end it." "We're not ready. You've had 4 days of training. Against something like Asmodan, that's nothing. So we get ready faster." She released his face, sat back on her heels. "You said I can track demons now. Use the seer sight to find him. So let's find him." Dante's expression shifted to something like fear. "If you track Asmodan directly, he'll feel it. He'll know where we are." "Good." The word surprised her as much as it surprised him. "Let him come to us. On ground we've prepared, with wards we control. Better than hunting him blind." "That's insane. So is everything else about this situation." She stood, offering him her hand. 4 days ago, I was a bartender. Now I'm bonded to a Nephilim, can see supernatural auras, and I'm apparently the only thing standing between reality and whatever apocalyptic nightmare Asmodan wants to summon. Insane stopped being relevant around day 2. Something that might have been admiration flickered across his face. He took her hand, let her help him up even though they both knew he didn't need it. The gesture was symbolic. Partnership. Equals in this insanity. "If we do this," he said slowly, "if we bait him here, you need to understand the stakes. He's older than me, stronger, and he won't be alone. He'll bring reinforcements. Then we need reinforcements too. Maya's mind raced, pieces clicking together. You said there are other Nephilim. Ones in hiding, ones who don't want the apocalypse either. Can we contact them? Most won't risk it. Revealing themselves means both sides hunting them. He paused, considering. But there's one. Raphael. He owes me a debt from 80 years ago. If I call it in, he might come. Call it in. Dante pulled out a phone that looked absurdly mundane in his hand. Who knew supernatural beings used smartphones? He dialed, waited, and when someone answered, he spoke in a language Maya didn't recognize. It sounded like Latin filtered through static and harmonized with itself. The conversation lasted less than a minute. When he hung up, his expression was grim. He'll come, but he says, the situation is worse than we thought. Number 7 was killed 2 hours ago. Ice flooded Maya's veins. The ritual. Can Asmodan complete it now? He needs one more component. The convergence. Specific celestial alignment that happens tomorrow night at exactly 11:47. Dante's jaw clenched. After that, he tears reality open. We have 36 hours. 36 hours. The number felt simultaneously too long and impossibly short. Maya's new seer sight kicked in, showing her the wards around the church. They were strong, but not strong enough. Not for what was coming. Can we reinforce them? She asked, gesturing at the flickering protective barriers only she could see. Yes, but it'll take power. My power. And every time I use it. He didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. She felt it through the bond. Every use of power fed one side or the other. Angel powers alerted heaven. Demon powers strengthened the darkness inside him. What if we use my power? The words came out before she'd fully thought them through. The seer abilities. Can those be weaponized? Dante's eyes widened. Theoretically, seers used to be able to banish demons, reveal true names, break illusions. But that knowledge was lost centuries ago. The bloodlines went dormant. But mine's not dormant anymore. Maya moved to the nearest wall, where a ward flickered weakly. She could see the pattern of it, the way energy flowed through specific pathways, and more importantly, she could see where it was failing. What if I don't need the knowledge? What if I can just see what needs to be done? She reached out, not with her hand but with her mind, focusing through the bond. Dante's power was right there, accessible through their connection. She felt him startle, felt his instinctive resistance, then his cautious allowance. The power flowed through her like liquid light. Not hers. His. But channeled through her seer sight, directed by her ability to see the architecture of supernatural energy. She poured it into the failing ward, watching with her enhanced vision as the pattern strengthened, solidified, blazed brighter. When she pulled back, gasping, the ward was stable. More than stable. Reinforced. How did you... Dante stared at the wall, then at her. That shouldn't be possible. The bond doesn't work that way. Maybe it does now. Maya's hands shook with residual energy. You said the bond was unprecedented. Half angel, half demon Nephilim bonding with an awakened seer. Maybe we can do things that were never possible before. Through the bond, she felt his emotions shift. Hope. Dangerous, fragile hope that maybe they had a chance. That maybe this desperate gambit wasn't just a fast track to both their deaths. We need to reinforce every ward in this church, he said, mind already working through logistics. If we're going to survive tomorrow night, we need every advantage. Then let's get started. Maya moved to the next weak point, already, seeing how to fix it. And Dante? When Raphael gets here, we need to tell him everything. No holding back. If we're going to win this, we need total honesty. Agreed. He joined her at the wall, and together they began the work of turning an abandoned church into a fortress. But Maya, after tomorrow, if we survive, we need to talk about what happens next. Next? The bond. It's permanent. which means you're stuck with me. With this. He gestured at himself, at the war he carried. I need you. To understand what that means long term. She should have been afraid, should have felt trapped. But through the bond, she felt what he wasn't saying. He was giving her an out, telling her that after the immediate threat passed, if she wanted to walk away, he'd find a way to let her go even if it killed him. The offer was genuine, self-destructive, but genuine. We'll talk about it, she said, focusing on the ward. After we save the world. His laugh was quiet, bitter. You say that like it's possible. It has to be. She poured more power into the pattern, watched it stabilize. Because the alternative is unacceptable. Outside, dawn was breaking. 35 hours and counting. Tomorrow night, reality would tear open unless they stopped it. 2 Nephilim, 1 seer, and desperate hope against an apocalypse. The odds were terrible. But through the bond, Maya felt Dante's determination, his 2-century-long refusal to give up. And she felt her own resolve solidifying. She'd spent her life surviving. Medical bills, dead-end jobs, loneliness that ached. This was different. This was purpose. If she died tomorrow, at least it would mean something. Raphael arrived at sunset, and Maya understood immediately why Dante had called him. He materialized in the center of the church without warning, reality folding around him like fabric. Where Dante was all sharp edges and barely contained violence, Raphael was cold precision. Platinum hair pulled back severely, eyes that were pure gold. Without a trace of corruption, and wings that were whole. Fully formed, pristine white feathers that caught the dying light filtering through broken windows. He was beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. And through her seer sight, Maya could see why. His angelic half dominated completely. The demonic side was there, buried so deep it barely registered, chained and suffocated under centuries of rigid control. Dante. Raphael's voice was crystalline, musical. Nothing like Dante's rough edges. You look terrible. 2 centuries without a vacation will do that. Dante moved to stand beside Maya, a protective gesture that didn't go unnoticed. Thanks for coming. Raphael's golden eyes shifted to her, and Maya felt the weight of his assessment. Not threatening exactly, but thorough, clinical, like she was a specimen under glass. The seer. He stepped closer, circling her slowly. I can smell Dante's claim on you. Blood bond and something more. Interesting. She has a name, Dante said, voice edging toward that dangerous layered quality. Maya Rivera, 23 years old, bartender. Witnessed Asmodan's ritual kill and activated dormant bloodline. Raphael completed his circle, standing in front of her. I've done my research. The question is, can you do what Dante thinks you can? Maya met his eyes, refusing to be intimidated. I reinforced 12 wards yesterday, channeled Nephilim power through seer sight to create barriers that should have required 3 of you. So yeah, I can do what he thinks I can. Something that might have been approval flickered across Raphael's perfect features. Good, because tomorrow night, you'll need to do considerably more than that. He moved to the center of the church, and with a gesture, conjured a 3-dimensional map made of light. The city sprawled before them, every building rendered in crystalline detail. And at specific points throughout, dark stains pulsed like infected wounds. Asmodan's ritual sites, Raphael explained, pointing at each stain. 7 locations forming a heptagram across the city. He's killed at 6. The 7th happened 2 hours ago, completing the blood requirement. Maya studied the pattern, her seer sight activating automatically. She could see how the sites connected, lines of corrupted energy flowing between them. And at the center, where all 7 points converged, a building she recognized. That's St. Michael's Cathedral, she said. The old one. Been condemned for 15 years. Convergence point. Raphael's expression was grim. Tomorrow at 11:47 p.m., the celestial alignment will peak. Asmodan will be there, conducting the final phase. If he succeeds, he'll tear open a permanent gateway. Something will come through, something that makes demons look like children's nightmares. Through the bond, Maya felt Dante's response to that statement. Not fear exactly, resignation. Like he'd known all along the stakes were even worse than he'd admitted. So we stop him. Before 11:47, Maya said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. Hit him at the cathedral, break the ritual. It's not that simple. Raphael waved his hand, and the map shifted, showing layers of supernatural defenses. He'll have the cathedral warded, minor demons as guards, possibly celestial mercenaries if he's made the right deals. And Asmodan himself is old, powerful. The three of us might not be enough. Then we make ourselves enough. Dante moved closer to the map, studying it with the focus of someone who'd spent 2 centuries hunting. Maya's seer sight can identify weak points in his wards. I can breach them. Raphael, you're the strongest of us. You hold Asmodan's attention while we disable the ritual. And if I can't hold him, then we improvise. Raphael laughed, cold and sharp. You haven't changed, still charging into suicide missions with nothing but hope and desperation. It's worked so far. Barely. Raphael's golden eyes fixed on Dante, and Maya saw something pass between them. History. Shared trauma. The weight of centuries. You're slipping, old friend. I can see it. The demon side. It's stronger than last time I saw you. Dante's jaw clenched. I'm managing it. Are you? Because from where I'm standing, you're about one bad day away from becoming the thing you've spent 200 years fighting. Raphael's voice softened, almost gentle. Maybe it's time to consider the third option. Ice flooded through the bond. Maya felt Dante's instant rejection before he even spoke. No. It would solve everything. Full angelic ascension. We could perform the ritual together, burn out your demonic half completely. You'd be free of the war inside you. And lose half of what I am. Dante's hands clenched into fists. The demon side isn't just corruption, Raphael. It's part of me. My strength, my resilience, half of my identity. I won't mutilate myself to fit heaven's definition of acceptable. Maya had stayed quiet through the exchange. But now pieces clicked into place. Raphael wasn't just offering help. He was offering salvation. The angelic kind. The kind that required erasing everything that didn't fit their mold. He's right, she said, surprising both of them. The demon side is part of him. And it's not evil. I've felt it through the bond. It's violent, yes. Dangerous. But it's also what gives him the strength to fight when the angel side would surrender to martyrdom. It's what makes him adaptable instead of rigid. He needs both. Raphael turned to her, and for the first time she saw something like respect in his golden eyes. You've known him less than a week, and you understand that? It took me 50 years. The bond shows me truth, even uncomfortable truth. Then you also see that he's running out of time. Raphael's expression hardened. The demon side grows stronger with every fight. Eventually it will win. And when it does, Dante won't just be dangerous. He'll be catastrophic. Maya felt Dante's pain through the bond. Because Raphael was right. The cage was cracking. The demon side was winning, degree by degree. And Dante knew it. How long? She asked quietly, looking at Dante. How long do you think you have? He met her eyes, and she saw the answer before he spoke. Months. Maybe weeks if tomorrow's fight is as brutal as I think it'll be. The words hung in the air, terrible in their honesty. Months. That's all the time they had before the man standing in front of her became something else entirely. Something that would need to be destroyed. Then we make those months count. Maya's voice was steady, despite the emotions churning through her. We stop Asmodan. We save the world. And then we figure out how to save you too. Maya? No. She cut him off. You don't get to give up. Not now. Not after you made me bond with you, made me part of this war. If you fall, I fall with you. That's how bonds work, right? So we find a third option. Not angelic ascension. Not demonic corruption. Something else. Raphael watched them, something unreadable in his expression. There might be a way. Theoretical. Dangerous. But possible. Both of them turned to him. The bond you share, Raphael continued, gesturing between them. It's unprecedented. Nephilim don't bond with seers. It's never been done because seers haven't existed in their full power for 300 years. But the old texts mention something. Balance through connection. A seer's sight combined with a Nephilim's dual nature could theoretically create equilibrium. Theoretically, Dante repeated flatly. No one's ever tried it. But if Maya could use her sight to literally see the war inside you, map the angel and demon sides, she might be able to help you maintain balance. Stop either side from dominating. That sounds like using her as a crutch, Dante said, making my war her burden. It already is her burden. Maya's words were simple, factual. The bond means I feel everything you feel. Your war is my war now, so let me help fight it. Through the bond, she felt his resistance, his instinct to protect her, to shoulder everything alone. But underneath it, desperate hope. The possibility that maybe he didn't have to face this alone anymore. We can discuss this after tomorrow, Raphael said, practical as ever. Right now, we need to prepare. Maya, I'll need to test your abilities. Make sure you can actually do what we're counting on. Dante, you need to rest. I can feel your exhaustion from here. I'm fine. You're running on fumes and stubbornness. Raphael's voice was firm. Sleep for a few hours. Let your body recover. Tomorrow requires you at full strength. For a moment, Maya thought Dante would argue. But through the bond, she felt the bone-deep exhaustion he'd been hiding. 4 days of constant training and warding with minimal rest. He was barely standing. Go, she said softly. I'll work with Raphael. You need to sleep. Maya, that's not a request. She put steel in her voice. You said we're partners, equal. So trust me to handle this while you rest. Something shifted in his expression. Surrender. Trust. He nodded once, then moved toward the small room they'd set up in the back of the church. Before he disappeared through the doorway, he glanced back. If anything feels wrong, wake me immediately. I will. He vanished into the darkness, and Maya was left alone with Raphael. The other Nephilim studied her with those unsettling golden eyes. Assessing. You're good for him, Raphael said finally. I haven't seen Dante trust anyone in a century. The fact that he's sleeping while you're with me, that says something. Or it says he's too exhausted to stay conscious. That too. Raphael smiled, and it transformed his face from coldly beautiful to something almost warm. But you give him something he hasn't had in a long time. Hope that he's more than just his war. Maya thought about the man sleeping in the next room. About the war. Raging inside him every second. About the fact that in months, maybe weeks, that war might consume him completely. I'm not letting him fall, she said. I don't care what it takes. I'm not letting him become the thing he's spent 2 centuries fighting. Raphael's expression turned serious. Then you'd better be prepared to fight for him as hard as he's fought for himself. Because tomorrow, at that cathedral, things are going to get dark. And if Dante loses control in the middle of the battle, you'll be the only one who can bring him back. The weight of that responsibility settled on her shoulders like a physical thing. She was 23 years old. A week ago, her biggest concern was making rent. Now she was the anchor point for a being who'd existed for 2 centuries, the only thing standing between him and corruption. Show me what I need to do, she said. Show me how to save him. Raphael nodded, and they began. 11:38 p.m., 9 minutes until the convergence. Maya, crouched behind a crumbling section of St. Michael's Cathedral wall, her seer sight blazing so intensely her eyes watered, The building was crawling with demons. Not the powerful kind like the one that had invaded her apartment, but dozens of minor entities, scouts, guards, sacrificial pawns meant to slow them down. Through the bond, she felt Dante beside her. His heartbeat was too fast, adrenaline spiking, and underneath it all, the demon side stirring. Hungry, ready, the promise of violence, feeding it like gasoline on fire. 12 guards at the main entrance, Raphael whispered from her other side. Another 8 patrolling the perimeter. Asmodan will be in the central nave, preparing the final phase. I can see the wards. Maya's enhanced vision cut through stone and shadow. 3 layers. The outer 2 are standard demonic barriers. But the inner one, that's different. It's woven with celestial energy. He's got angel blood in the mix. Fallen angel. Dante corrected, voice tight. Has to be. No divine would help him. But corrupted celestials they'd sell out for the right price. Can you break it? Raphael asked her. Maya studied the pattern, tracing the energy flows with her mind. It was complex, vicious, designed to incinerate anything that touched it wrong. But she could see the weak points, places where demonic and angelic energies didn't quite mesh. Yes, but I'll need to channel through Dante. His dual nature is the only thing that can navigate both. Simultaneously. That'll drain him. Raphael's golden eyes fixed on Dante. Are you strong enough? Through the bond, Maya felt Dante's response before he voiced it. He wasn't. 4 days of constant exertion, minimal rest, and the demon side steadily consuming more of his strength. He was running on empty. But he said, I'm strong enough. The lie tasted bitter through their connection. We go in 60 seconds, Raphael said, manifesting a blade that shimmered with pure white light. Maya breaks. The ward. I handle the guards. Dante, you go straight for Asmodan. Don't let him complete the ritual. And if he's already started? Dante's obsidian blade appeared in his hand, dark mirror to Raphael's light. Then we pray your bond with Maya is strong enough to disrupt it. Seer sight can reveal true names. True names can bind demons, even ones as powerful as Asmodan. It sounded simple. It wasn't. Maya had spent 6 hours with Raphael learning to weaponize her sight, and every technique required precision she barely possessed. One mistake, one mispronounced syllable of a true name, and the demon would be free to retaliate. 30 seconds. Raphael counted down. Maya pressed her hand to Dante's back, feeling his muscles coil beneath her palm. The bond opened fully between them, power flowing like a river. His strength, her sight, merged into something that was neither and both. The demon side surged at the contact. She felt it clearly now, distinct from the angel half. It wanted her closer, wanted to drown in the sensation of their merged power, wanted to forget the mission and just take, possess, consume. Dante shoved it down with brutal efficiency, but Maya felt the cost. Every time he suppressed it, the demon side came back stronger, like a muscle being exercised. 10 seconds. Maya focused on the ward, seeing through Dante's eyes and her own simultaneously. The weak point glowed like a beacon. She gathered their merged power, shaped it into a precise blade of energy, and struck. The ward shattered like glass. Alarm screamed, supernatural and physical. Every demon in the cathedral turned toward them. And inside, deep in the nave, she felt Asmodan's attention snap in their direction. Now! Raphael moved like lightning, white blade carving through the first wave of demons. They dissolved into ash and sulfur, screaming. Dante pulled Maya through the gap in the ward, moving fast enough that her feet barely touched ground. The cathedral interior was worse than she'd imagined. Blood covered the floor in patterns that hurt to look at. 7 bodies arranged in ritual positions, already desiccated, life drained. And at the center, standing in a circle of black fire, was Asmodan. He was beautiful. That was the worst part. 10 feet tall, perfect proportions, face that could have been sculpted by masters. But his eyes were galaxies of madness, stars burning in the void of his irises, the Nephilim and his pet seer. Azmodan's voice resonated through the cathedral, through her bones, through reality itself. You're early. The convergence hasn't peaked yet. We're here to make sure it never does. Dante moved forward, blade ready. Are you? Azmodan smiled, and Maya's stomach turned. Or are you here because you're desperate? Because you know you're losing control? Because you think stopping me will somehow save you from yourself? Through the bond, Maya felt Dante's reaction. The words hit too close to truth. I'm here to kill you, Dante said flatly. Everything else is secondary. Brave words from a creature held together by borrowed time and a fragile human's faith. Azmodan's eyes shifted to Maya. Tell me, little seer, have you felt it yet? The moment when his control slips? When the demon takes over completely? It's coming. Tonight, probably. And when it does, he won't be your protector anymore. He'll be your destroyer. Shut up. Maya's voice was steady despite the fear coursing through her. You don't know him. You don't know us. Don't I? Azmodan gestured, and images flickered in the black fire. Dante through the centuries, killing, destroying. Moments when the demon side won and blood ran like rivers. He's killed hundreds, thousands, and each time he tells himself it was necessary, justified. But we both know the truth. He enjoyed it. Through the bond, Maya felt Dante's guilt, soul deep, ancient, because Azmodan was right. There had been moments when the demon side dominated, when killing felt good, when violence was its own reward. But she also felt the angel side, the remorse afterward, the centuries of trying to atone, the daily choice to be better than his nature. He's more than his worst moments, Maya said. We all are. Philosophical, adorable, irrelevant. Azmodan raised his hands, and the black fire surged. The convergence is in 4 minutes. You can't stop it, but you can die trying. He moved, fast, faster than anything Maya had seen. One moment he was in the circle. Next he was in front of Dante, hand driving toward his chest with force that would have punched through steel. Dante blocked, barely, and the impact sent shockwaves through the cathedral. Stone cracked, windows that had somehow survived decades shattered. Raphael appeared behind Azmodan, white blade slashing for his spine. The demon twisted impossibly, caught the blade with his bare hand, and threw Raphael through a pillar. 2 Nephilim, Azmodan mused, circling Dante. And one's already compromised, the other's too righteous to embrace his full power. This won't take long. Dante attacked, moving with that supernatural speed, blade carving arcs of shadow through the air. Azmodan dodged, countered, and Maya watched through her seer sight as the demon side in Dante grew stronger with every exchange, fed by violence, by proximity to something purely evil. She had to do something. Raphael had said true names could bind demons, but she needed to see it first. Really see it. The essence beneath the stolen beauty. Maya opened her seer sight fully, pushing past every safety limit Raphael had taught her. Pain exploded behind her eyes, but she didn't stop. Couldn't stop, because there, written in energy across Azmodan's true form, she saw it. His name. His real name. The one he'd been given at creation before corruption claimed him. It was 23 syllables long, each one a word in a language that predated humanity. Speaking it would be like trying to pronounce music or describe colors that didn't exist. But she had to try. "Dante!" she screamed. "Hold him for 5 seconds." She felt his response through the bond. Confusion, then understanding, then determination that bordered on suicidal. Dante dropped his blade and lunged, grabbing Azmodan in a grip that was more tackle than technique. The demon snarled, began to tear him apart, claws raking across his back hard enough to expose spine. Maya felt every second of his pain through the bond, felt his ribs cracking, felt his blood, silver and black, pouring onto stone. But he held on, and Maya spoke the name. The first syllable burned her throat. The second made her nose bleed. By the 10th, she was tasting copper. By the 20th, her vision was darkening. But she finished. The 23rd syllable left her lips, and reality bent. Asmodan screamed. Not a sound. A psychic shockwave that shattered what remained of the windows. Black fire erupted from his body, and Dante was thrown backward, crashing into Maya. They went down together, his weight crushing her into the floor. Through the bond, she felt his consciousness flickering. He was dying. The wounds were too severe. Even Nephilim healing couldn't keep up. No. She pushed at his chest, trying to get him off. No, Dante, stay with me. His eyes opened, completely black. The demon sighed, sensing death, surging one final time for dominance. Run, he gasped, voice layered with that terrible harmony. Maya, run. I can't. Hold it. She felt it through the bond, the cage shattering. The demon side flooding through, filling every space the angel half had occupied. This was it. The moment Asmodan had predicted. The moment Dante became the monster. But Maya had spent 6 days feeling his war. 6 days learning every nuance of his dual nature. 6 days building a connection deeper than blood. She grabbed his face, forced his black eyes to meet hers. I'm not running, she said. And you're not losing. Not today. Not to him. Not to yourself. She pulled, using the bond like a rope, dragging him back from the edge. It shouldn't have worked. She was human, fragile, new to all this. But the bond was stronger than either of them had realized. Seer and Nephilim merged at a fundamental level. Silver bled back into his eyes. The demon side retreated, inch by inch, back to its cage. And behind them, Asmodan rose. The binding had held for 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. But his true form was visible now. Revealed by Maya's sight. Not beautiful anymore. A mass of writhing darkness, and too many limbs and eyes that burned with hatred older than civilization. Clever, he hissed, but insufficient. The convergence is here. Outside, the clock struck 11:47. The sky tore open. Not metaphorically. Reality literally ripped apart above the cathedral, a wound in existence that bled colors Maya's human eyes weren't designed to process. Through the gap, something looked down. Something vast. Something that made Asmodan seem insignificant by comparison. It's beautiful, Asmodan whispered, reverent. After 300 years of planning, it's finally here. Maya felt Dante trying to stand, his body screaming protest through the bond. Raphael was unconscious, buried under rubble from where Asmodan had thrown him. They'd failed. The convergence had peaked. The ritual was complete. Unless... Dante. Maya's voice was hoarse from speaking the true name. The bond. What happens if we merge? Completely? Not just power sharing? Everything? His black bleeding silver eyes met hers, and she felt his understanding through their connection. Complete merger. Seer sight and Nephilim nature becoming one entity. It had never been done because it was supposed to be impossible. And if it failed, they'd both die. It'll destroy you, he said. Your humanity can't contain what I am, but your dual nature can be balanced by what I am. She grabbed his hand, felt his blood slick against her palm. Raphael said seers could create equilibrium. This is how, not helping from the outside, becoming the balance. Maya, we're out of options. That thing is coming through. She glanced at the tear in reality, at the massive form beginning to manifest. Either we try this, or everyone dies, including us. Through the bond, She felt his war. Angel side screaming it was too dangerous, that he'd rather die than risk her. Demon side wanting it desperately, wanting to merge, consume, become one. End. Dante, caught between, trying to make an impossible choice with seconds remaining. Asmodan turned toward them, sensing something. "What are you doing?" "Improvising," Dante said. He pulled Maya closer, wrapped his arms around her. "If this works, we'll be something new, something that's never existed. I don't know what that means. Then we'll figure it out together." Maya pressed her forehead to his. "On 3? On 3. They didn't count, didn't need to. The bond was already opening, deeper than it had ever gone. Maya felt herself pouring into him, her consciousness bleeding into spaces that had only held his war. And he poured into her, silver and black filling the empty places in her soul. The pain was transcendent, like being unmade and remade simultaneously. She felt his 200 years of memories crash into her mind, felt every kill, every moment of losing control, every second of his endless war. And he felt her 23 years, her mother dying slowly, the loneliness, the desperate desire to matter, to be more than just another person grinding through existence. Their heartbeats synchronized, their breathing matched. And for one perfect, terrible moment, Maya couldn't tell where she ended and Dante began. Then the merger completed. Power exploded through them, silver and black and something else. Something that glowed gold. Seer sight merged with Nephilim nature, creating a third option that had never existed. Not angel, not demon, not human. Balanced. They stood as one, and when they opened their eyes, both sets of eyes were identical. Silver iris with black pupil surrounded by a ring of gold. Asmodan stared. "That's impossible." "Apparently not." The voice came from both their mouths, harmonized but stable. No longer war. Symphony. They moved, faster than Dante alone could have, with precision Maya's sight provided. The obsidian blade appeared in their hand, but it had changed, no longer pure shadow. Silver veins ran through it, and the edge glowed with that impossible gold. Asmodan attacked, but they saw it coming. Not through bond connection. They were the same being now, thoughts occurring simultaneously in both minds. They dodged, countered, and the blade carved through the demon's stolen flesh like it was paper. He screamed, true form fully revealed now, writhing darkness and hatred given shape. "You think this changes anything?" Asmodan's voice was layered with pain and rage. "The gateway is open. The entity is coming. You can't stop it." "No," they said, looking up at the tear in reality. "But we can close it." They reached out with their merged power, seer sight showing them the architecture of the ritual. 7 points of blood sacrifice forming the heptagram. 7 deaths powering the gateway. It was elegant in its horror. And it had one critical flaw. The ritual required the deaths to be permanent, final. But Maya's seer bloodline held ancient knowledge of resurrection. Not full revival, but enough. Enough to make the deaths temporary. Enough to break the pattern. They spoke words in that pre-human language, the one that hurt to pronounce. But merged, they could handle it. Dante's Nephilim endurance combined with Maya's gift for true speech. The words flowed like water, reshaping reality. The 7 corpses gasped. Not alive. Not really. But not permanently dead either. Suspended in the space between, for just 30 seconds. It was enough. The heptagram shattered. The gateway screamed. Realities. Wound, trying to heal itself. And the entity that had been manifesting, the thing too vast to comprehend, was pulled back into whatever dimension it had come from. The sky sealed shut. Asmodan fell to his knees, power draining as the ritual collapsed. No, 300 years. Wasted. They stood over him, blade ready. You gambled everything on this moment, and you lost. Kill me then." Azmodan looked up, defiant even in defeat. "That's what you are. Killers. Monsters. You're no different than me." The blade hovered at his throat, and in their merged consciousness, Maya and Dante felt the choice crystallize. Kill him. He deserved it. He'd murdered 7 people, planned genocide, nearly destroyed reality. The demon side wanted it, craved it. The violence, the finality, the satisfaction of ending a threat. But the angel side hesitated. Execution without trial, without chance for redemption. Was that justice or vengeance? And the seer part, Maya's humanity, asked a different question. If they killed him, would they become what he'd predicted? Would the demon side win after all? Just more slowly? They lowered the blade. No. The decision was unanimous, instant. Raphael can take you to celestial authorities. Let them judge you. We're done killing today. Azmodan laughed, bitter and broken. Weak. That weakness will destroy you. Maybe. They stepped back. But it's our choice. That's the difference between us and you. We choose. Behind them, Raphael stirred, climbing out of rubble. His golden eyes widened at what he saw. You merged. Fully merged. That's unprecedented. We know. They felt the merger starting to strain already. 2 consciousness forced into one body, even willingly, wasn't sustainable long term. We need to separate, soon, before it becomes permanent. Can you? Raphael moved closer, assessing. I've never seen anything like this. I don't know if separation is possible. Terror spiked through their shared consciousness. The possibility that they'd be trapped like this, 2 people in one body, slowly losing individual identity until only the merged entity remained. Try, they said. We have to try. They closed their eyes, focusing inward. The bond was still there, stronger than ever. But they could see where Maya ended and Dante began. The boundaries that had dissolved could be rebuilt. Carefully. Gently. They pulled apart. It hurt worse than merging had. Like tearing off skin. Like losing a limb. Maya gasped. As her consciousness slammed back into her own body, suddenly alone after being 2. Dante caught her as she collapsed, both of them shaking with the aftermath. Are you... His voice was his own again, rough and uncertain. Are you okay? Maya looked up at him. His eyes were back to normal, silver with black edges. The eternal war resumed. But something was different. The balance they'd achieved while merged, some of it lingered. The demon side was quieter, the angel side less rigid. Like the merger had shown both sides of him that coexistence was possible. I'm okay. She touched his face, feeling the bond between them. Still there, still strong, but separate again. We did it. We actually did it. You did it. Dante's smile was exhausted, genuine. I would have killed him, would have let the demon side win. But you chose mercy. We chose mercy, she corrected. That's how this works now. We choose together. Raphael approached with Azmodan in custody, the demon bound with Celestial. Chains. I'll take him to the authorities. You 2 should go. The human police will be here soon. And explaining this, he gestured at the destroyed cathedral, the 7 gasping corpses, the blood patterns. It'll be complicated. They nodded, helped each other stand. As they moved toward the exit, Maya glanced back at the spot where reality had torn. It was sealed now, but the memory remained. How close they'd come to absolute catastrophe. Dante. She stopped at the cathedral entrance. What? Raphael said before. About you running out of time. Is it still true? Through the bond, she felt his assessment. The demon side was still there, still hungry, still dangerous, but the balance from their merger lingered, like muscle memory. He could maintain equilibrium now, at least for a while. I have longer than I did, he said carefully. The merger, it showed me something. A way to exist without constant war. I don't know if it's permanent, but it's more than I had before. And if it's not permanent, then we figure it out. Together, like you said. He took her hand, and through their touch, the bond hummed. I spent 200 years fighting alone. I'm tired of alone. Maya squeezed his hand. Outside, sirens wailed. Dawn was breaking, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. They'd survived the night, saved the world, and somehow, impossibly, found something neither of them had been looking for. Partnership, balance, hope. What do we do now? She asked as they stepped into the morning light. Dante looked at her, really looked at her, and through the bond she felt everything he didn't say. Gratitude that she'd chosen to fight beside him. Fear that he'd eventually hurt her. Hope that maybe, just maybe, they'd found a way forward. Now, he said, we live. For however long we have. We choose to live. It wasn't a happy ending. Maya's apartment was destroyed. She had no job, no normal life to return to. And Dante's war wasn't over, just postponed. The demon side would surge again. The angel side would restrict. The balance would require constant maintenance. But as they walked away from the cathedral, hand in hand, bond humming between them, Maya realized something. She'd spent 23 years surviving, working dead-end jobs, paying off debts, existing without truly living. Now she was bonded to a Nephilim, could see the supernatural world, had helped save reality itself. It was terrifying, dangerous, probably unsustainable long-term. But God, it felt like living. And through the bond, she felt Dante's response, agreement, relief, and something else. Something that felt like the beginning of love, cautious and battle-scarred, but real. They had months, maybe less, before the next crisis, before his control slipped again, before the supernatural world demanded more from them. But they'd face it together. Two broken people who'd merged into something stronger. Not angel, not demon, not even really human anymore. Something new. Something that chose mercy over vengeance, balance over extremes, partnership over isolation. Something that, against all odds, had a chance. Maya walked into that alley, an ordinary woman, just trying to survive another shift, another day, another month of grinding through existence. She walked out marked by forces she never knew existed, thrust into a war between light and darkness that had raged for millennia. And when Dante crashed bleeding into her life, she faced a choice that would define everything that came after. Run and die alone, or bond with a monster, and maybe, just maybe, live long enough to discover he was more human than the world that condemned him. What would you have done? Would you have trusted the creature with eyes that bled between silver and black? Would you have cut your wrist and bound yourself to someone else's war, knowing you'd feel every second of the battle raging inside them? Or would you have chosen the certainty of running, even knowing the darkness would catch you? Eventually, this story isn't really about demons and angels. It's about the wars we fight inside ourselves every single day. The choice between who we are and who we could become. The courage it takes to trust someone with our darkness, and the strength required to help carry theirs. Maya and Dante found something neither was looking for in the ruins of their desperate fight for survival. Proof that two broken things can merge into something stronger, that balance is possible even in the most impossible circumstances, that choosing mercy over vengeance is its own kind of power. They had months, maybe less, before the next crisis, but they chose to face it together. What battles are you fighting alone that you don't have to? What broken parts of yourself are you hiding, afraid no one could love you if they really saw? If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it reminded you that even monsters can choose to be better, then share it with someone who needs to hear that message. Leave a like to help others find it. And follow for more stories that ask the hard questions, the ones about darkness and light and the space where they meet. Because the most powerful stories aren't the ones with easy answers. They're the ones that make you look at your own reflection and ask, what would I choose?